Hello, my name is Dr. Lois Palin, and I am the Senior Director for the Center for Security Studies here at UMGC. And we welcome you to our October Cybersecurity Awareness Month activity. Held every October, the Cybersecurity Awareness Month is a collaborative effort between the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which we call CISA, and the National Cybersecurity Alliance, NCSA. And they're here to raise awareness about the importance of cybersecurity and to ensure that all Americans have their resources they need to be safer and definitely more secure online. The University of Maryland Global Campus and the Center for Security Studies are proud to be champions in support of this essential online safety, awareness, and education initiative. And we've been holding great webinars all month. The overarching theme for 2020 is do your part, hashtag be cybersmart. And now more than ever, the theme empowers individuals and organizations to own their roles in protecting their parts in cyberspace, with a particular emphasis on our key message for 2020, which is if you connect it, protect it. So in line with our series of webinars this month, we now have Stephen Pelletier, who is the Regional Sales Executive for Secure Code Warriors. And Secure Code Warriors is a global software security company, I should say, that aims to make software development more secure by offering an interactive, gamified, and fun training platform. And if you registered for the session today, you should have received an email that gives you the information for signing up for that gaming platform that we can use this in this evening's presentation, and that Steve and his company has graciously allowed us to use until the end of the year. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve, and he'll explain how the evening will run. And over to you, Steve.
Thank you very much, Lois. I appreciate that. So I appreciate everybody having me here today. Really excited to be talking to you about software development, secure coding, and then getting you in this fun gamified training type of environment. So how we'll break it out today, I'm going to do a quick presentation. We'll probably be around 20 to 30 minutes just around secure coding, the secure coding industry, what developers are doing right now, and how we can change the way we've thought about training and make it more of a fun, impactful, and event type thing, which people tend to get more out of. At the end of that, we can launch a secure code tournament from the platform, which is those really fun interactive event, which I'll show you a quick demo of before I kick it off to everyone. And at the end of the event, we'll send out some prizes to the winners. All right, so I'll get started. So right now in the industry, software is growing everywhere. Everything is turning more and more towards development, even types of industries you never thought of before, like manufacturing and logistics, such as that. Right now, the software industry or developers are growing 50% year over year. Within 2021, there's around 26.4 million in the world today. With that said, developers create around 111 billion new lines of code worldwide per year. So it's nothing that's going away. It's only getting bigger and more impactful. Now, the negative side, or the flip side with that, is that secure coding isn't taught at any major university in the world today. And what it is, it's a lot of on-the-job type training. So it's security professionals working with junior developers, or it's senior developers working with junior developers, trying to get them up to speed. And as you can tell, people are overburdened with their work as it is. As you saw, they're writing a lot of code. So there's not that much time for people to take time to start training up people. And that's why you're seeing a lot of the vulnerabilities that we see, or you're seeing a lot of breaches and hacks and issues with the coding practices. That's not to say developers don't write good code. They write great code. The thing is, they write functional code. So all those applications we use on a daily basis, or how organizations make money, is because the developers write this great code that's supposed to be functional, it's supposed to go fast, and it's supposed to work really well, which it does. The problem is it's not necessarily built for the fight. There's a lot of bad actors in the world today that want to take advantage of that. And so that's why we need to start layering in some good secure coding practices to protect organizations, to protect ourselves from what's going on out there. So back in 2010, organizations noticed this, and they started to release a few different instances that they thought could help protect them from the bad actors that are out there. One of those was pen testing. Someone manually going in there, reviewing the lines of code, finding the vulnerabilities and pointing those out. Other ones were WAPs, or web application firewalls. They were supposed to be the one all be all that stopped everything. Paper-based secure code guidelines. Here's a PDF report on how to write secure coding. There you go. Go run with it. Take it. You're good to go. And the last of those were static code analysis tools. So SAS, DAST, IAS, things like that that could scan the code on its own, add a test, a report that then security professionals could take to developers and say, hey, here's where our issues in these lines of code. Let's go back and fix them. The problem was they all worked good, but they didn't work great. And as we see, even to right now, 1 in 3 applications are still showing SQL injection vulnerabilities and other such vulnerabilities. So they're not the end all be all that organizations thought they were going to be. Scanning, and that's what scanning tools were supposed to do. They were supposed to catch every vulnerability in that code, every bug, every issue, send out a report, and people are going to be good to go. Organizations are going to be good to go. Problem was, although these scanning tools are good, they put out a lot of false positives. They don't catch everything. And ultimately, sometimes even when security professionals bring that to the developers, they don't necessarily know the correct and right way to code that securely. You know, if we look at the SDLC, or the software development lifecycle, you really see all those type of scanning tools sit a little bit further down the line. And as you go down that line, as you go down the SDLC, bugs are harder to fix. They cost more money to fix. A recent study showed that 7 to 16 times more expensive for an organization to fix a bug in the deployment or production stage than if they catch it in the code writing stage. So what we really want to do is train developers up to write secure code from the very beginning and really become that first line of defense at an organization. Another one of the issues with that, if you break up security professionals and developers, what you have is builders and breakers. And the problem is they're talking 2 different languages. For my job, I talk to security professionals all day, every day. And what they tell me is developers and training, it's like oil and water. It's just not mixing. They don't want to do it. And a lot of the reason why is because they're talking that 2 different languages. The builders, the developers, they're supposed to be making revenue for the company. They're supposed to be creating those fast, high-speed applications. They know their code inside, they're out, and they don't speak security. They speak in the languages that they're coding in: Java, Python, Swift. The breakers, they're the brand protectors. They're protecting your organization so they're not on the news. They're pointing out problems constantly, saying, hey, why was this wrong? Why is that wrong? And they're talking in vulnerability languages, SQL injections, XXX, cross-site scripting. So there's no go-between, and we have to find a way to bridge that gap. If we start to look at training as a way to bridge the gap, there's a few different problems with training that's out there today. There's the one size that fits all. There is more of a classroom or passive type training where they're not engaging, or if they have somebody come on site, maybe someone's out sick that day, or it's just once a year. And then there's the check the box type training. So in the one size fits all, it might be, okay, we're going to start to create these videos around cross-site scripting, around SQL injections. Watch this video and you're good to go. The problem is cross-site scripting vulnerabilities in Java is different than what it looks like in Python or Symfony or all those languages. So it's not a one size fit all for everybody. And junior developers might need different training than senior developers. The classroom training, although it's good, a lot of times organizations, they fly these people in, they have them train up in a classroom for 3 days, and then they fly out, and maybe it's a yearly thing. Now, if a developer's on vacation that day, or maybe they need some extra hands-on work from that instructor, that's not necessarily available to them. In the check the box type of training, some organizations need to be PCI compliant, or different customers mandate that they do security training. So all they want to do is rush something out so they can say they did it and check the box on it. It doesn't really get the correct message across. What we really want to do is we want to create a culture change. As I said a little bit earlier, there's that security professional told me, developers and training, it's like oil and water. All the stuff that's been put out there for them, they don't like, they don't want to do. How can we change that? How can we get them excited about taking part in something like that? Well, first we want to understand how the developers think. Who are these type of people? Well, typically developers, they're gamers. They want to be hands-on with what they're doing. They're creative type people. They don't want to be passively taught at. They want to be engaged in what they're teaching in. They're self-paced, right? When their job is to write different lines of code or complete something at the end of the week or an end of a sprint cycle, they're working at their own self-pace and not necessarily at the pace of some of these training requirements that are out there. So we really wanted to understand that and develop training that was going to be specific to them and speak to them on their level. When we did that, we thought about gaming. So one really cool thing about gaming, I'm not sure if anybody here has ever read this book, Reality is Broken. It's all about how our brain thinks about games and how we can incorporate that into our everyday life. So one cool thing about gaming is that the brain doesn't necessarily understand that you're not there and you're not in it. So if you're playing a giant role-playing game with your friends online, or you talk to people about that, they say, oh, I was in Azeroth last night and we're going for the quest of the 7 stars. They talk about it like they were actually there doing it, which is excellent. That makes it incorporates into your everyday life. It makes you more engaged in what you want to do. It makes you feel like you're part of it. So we really wanted to incorporate that, or try to come up with a training solution that was going to allow developers to sit in that type of game and really participate and be involved in what they're doing. Also, when we look at games, people love them. In the UK alone, people by the age of 21 are going to spend 10,000 hours worth of time playing video games. 61% of CEOs and CFOs and senior executives play games on their phone at work. 5,000 new games coming out a year, and it's just a massive industry. It creates this clear progression path. So you complete this, this, and this, you get experience or you get points, and you can level up. And everybody likes leveling up. There's a good balance between difficulty and payoff. You're not going to just jump right into the deep end of the pool or right into the hardest challenge, because you're not going to be able to accomplish it. But you can work through the tutorial. You can beat a couple levels, level up your player while you're leveling up yourself, and clearly progress and go to those different difficulty levels. And as I talked about before, that digital experience is impactful. It's almost like you're in there doing it yourself. So you're going to get a lot more out of that, and it's going to make your brain grab onto that information even better. Now we got to form a blueprint, right? So if you think of, let's kick off an event. How are we going to create that training program? We wanted to create a positive experience for the developers. So what we want to do is things, as we're going to do today, a tournament, a hackathon, a CTF. No longer is training going to be this boring thing or this check the box thing that you're mandated to do. We want to make it fun and eventful, where you can create a positive experience out of it. What else do you want to do? You don't want to boil the ocean when it comes to training. You really want to identify, okay, we kicked off a tournament or some fun event. Now let's identify what we want to focus on. Instead of trying to go after everything at once, maybe we take our scanning tool, or we use our pen test results, and we say, or as an individual, understand where your weaknesses are and say, all right, let's focus on areas 1 through 5 to start. Let's train on those. Let's test out to make sure that I verified that I got better on those, and then let's move on to something else. Never try to do everything all at once with a training program. Establish a baseline. So this is great for organizations. Let's figure out where we want every single developer at the organization to at least be at. This is going to allow people that first come on board to say, hey, I need to train up, I need to practice, I need to verify those skills, and I at least need to get here by my 6-month mark, maybe, or by my first year. But a great part about establishing a baseline is also being able to set different baseline goals higher than that. Maybe you do some type of a belting system where on top of that baseline, you create a yellow belt test, a green belt test, all the way up to black belt. This is going to create a clear progression path for developers and for anybody that's excited about some type of a training program to say, how can I be better? How can I keep challenging myself? How can I prove myself so I can not only better myself as an individual, but maybe go up for that next promotion, get that raise? People like accomplishing things. And when you set them up for a way that they can, they're going to enjoy that type of program even more. Reward, as I just talked about in the belting system, but even rewards for the tournaments. Give out a couple fun prizes at the end. Maybe it's just an extra day of PTO or an Amazon gift card, but having that visibility, having that reward, having that progression path really means a lot to individuals when they're working through a training program in and of itself. And a big part is evolving. What you do today, if you're creating a training program for your organization or you're part of one, your team maybe, you don't want it to be the stale, same thing from the first year you launched it to the 5th year you launched it. You want to keep almost looking at it like a circle. Keep evaluating, keep making small minor adjustments, using the insights you gathered from that previous year to keep improving it and evolving it over time. It shouldn't be the same thing year over year. It should constantly be getting better and constantly being fine-tuned to better fit your culture and your people. So this is just some pictures of the tournaments that we typically have. A lot of times we used to do them pre-COVID days so we could actually go on site with organizations or with colleges or OWASP chapters and had some really good events. So our platform itself, I'll tell you a little bit about it because just in a second we're going to be jumping into it here, is broken out into 4 unique pillars. We have a tournaments feature, a training grounds that will be open for everyone until the end of the year, a learning pillar, and then an assessments, which is ultimately a testing availability. So for the purpose of today, we're going to be spending our time in the tournament. So we have a really fun event about to kick off. When you jump into the tournament, it should be live any minute now. You're going to allow to choose your language that you want to participate in. I'm going to walk you through a quick demo of it in a second, but once you choose your language, you can't jump back out and choose another one. So you are stuck with the language that you originally jump in with, just to make sure everybody knows that. After the event, if you want to use the training grounds, that's fully open to you and the learning material. So the training grounds, we have over 40 plus languages built out right now. We have infrastructure as code languages also. And what you're going to see is you're able to jump in and out of those. You can pick where you want to focus your training. And we have a simulated ID environment with real code-based challenges you're able to work through in that self-paced type of learning. If you have trouble either during the tournament or during any of the challenges, there is a hinting feature, which I'll show you, that you're able to leverage and get some more contextual knowledge around what the challenge is trying to get you to identify. For the purpose of this tournament, I was going to give out some prizes. So whoever gets first place will get a Secure Code Warrior hooded sweatshirt, and then second and third place can get some t-shirts. So what I'll do here is I'll jump into the platform itself and show you what the challenge or the tournament looks like.
Hey, Steve, I have a couple of questions from the participants. Can I ask those first?
Yes, of course. Sorry about that.
No problem. So somebody's asking, why aren't the software manufacturers taking more responsibility for secure coding?
So do they mean by the manufacturers of the applications or from the languages themselves?
I think both. I think that the question does pertain to not only the applications developers, but also the ones that develop the coding software.
Yes. So great question. So the manufacturers of the applications, I'll start there. They do take a very valid interest in that, and that's why a solution like ours is on the market right now. I would say that for a while, as I touched upon in the presentation, they thought that the scanning tools would catch everything, the SAS and DAS as they run those, and that it wouldn't be an issue. But as they're seeing, and as you're seeing on the news, organizations are still getting hacked, getting breached. Their scanning tools are just, it's putting out a ton of false positives. So people, the security team's not sure where to focus their time and effort. And a lot of these organizations, especially the bigger ones, there might be 10, 20,000 developers, and the security team, application security team specifically, might be, 5 to 10 people large. So they're really overburdened with how much people they have to watch and how much code they need to look out for. From the coding languages themselves, that I don't know specifically around that too much, but from what I do get is similar as I talked about, developers in the coding languages are meant to write functional stuff. It's meant to work functionality wise and make stuff work. It was never necessarily designed to protect against bad actors. Some of the newer languages that are coming out now are more security focused and definitely harder to breach, so to say, so that it's not as the issue is not as big as opposed to some of those older Java framework languages or COBOL and stuff like that.
I have a question from someone in the K-12 arena. What, how early should teachers and administrators start teaching secure coding in the K-12 environment and in their computer science courses?
Yeah, I think right from the beginning, right? It's not necessarily more difficult. It's just a different way. And if people can get that, if that can start to become second nature, that this is how you're supposed to write code right from the very beginning, it's going to make it way easier as you go down the line. It doesn't necessarily change it too much. And as you might see when you jump in here, that it's not necessarily big instances of you have to do leaps and bounds different to write that secure code. It's just small little fixes, but it can make all the difference in the world.
And one last one, someone is asking about the heavy video gamers, and do you have any thoughts about how to get them more interested in coding rather than playing, and secure coding at that?
I don't know how to get them more interested in coding rather than playing. I am a heavy video gamer myself, so I like it. I love it to say. I think people are going to gravitate to what interests them. I mean, there is a difference between writing code and playing the games, and some people like to do both. Some people just like to play the games and do other stuff. I wouldn't know how to incorporate that over, but that's an interesting question.
Okay. That's all I have for now.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So this is what the home screen will look like when you log in. The tournament that will be available to you should sit right here, so you're able to jump right into it. I'm going to go into the training grounds right now just to show you what one of those challenges will look like. So as you can see, there's a lot of different languages and content right in here. I'm going to jump into Java Spring. We originally based our platform off the OWASP Top 10, but since broke it down into like some critical weaknesses, common weaknesses, some more advanced type stuff. So you're going to have this gamified type of screen, little Mission Impossible stuff. There will be a leaderboard so you can see where you sit, and then different missions you can accept. Now in the tournament, there'll be leveled missions 1 through 8. Level 8 missions will be more difficult, but you'll score more points. Level 1 missions will be easier, but you score a little less points. So you jump into that, choose the mission you want to accept, and it's going to take you this first part of the code. So this one's going to ask you to locate the vulnerability in this code block, an injection flaw, an LDAP injection. So you can open the file system up right here, work through this code, work through the file system itself, and try to identify where that is. Now we put some key areas of interest highlighted with the little exclamation mark there, so you can kind of jump into there. Now, if you need a little bit more help or you need some more contextual knowledge, there's the hinting system right here. During the tournament, the first hint is always free, so it won't cost you any points to take that first hint. We do want to be a learning platform. It's all about getting better, leveraging the training materials and learning. So you jump in here, it's going to give you a quick little like 3.5-minute video around what you should be looking for.
Is exploited, giving access to an account.
There'll also be a bit of a deep dive up here also. And then you can jump out and put that right to use. Now, if you still need to keep getting a little bit more knowledge, you still don't quite get it, keep taking those hints. It's going to provide you more of a deeper dive. And ultimately, it's going to start removing different answer blocks away until there's no answer. There's only one answer left. You can go in there, click on that, hit next, and it's going to take you to the next part of the challenge. So it's going to tell you why that was the correct answer. Again, provide that training the whole way, and then move into the second part. The second part's going to be it's going to be the same code snippet, but now it's going to want you to identify the correct solution to fix that. So I'm in an in-diff view right now. You can, if you want, change it to a side-by-side view. And that's just right here in this little settings block. And then you're going to have the vulnerable code on the left and 4 different drop downs on the right on what would be the correct answer to fix that. Again, the hinting system is there for you to leverage. That first one's free. So you can try to figure out what that is. It's going to give you some more contextual knowledge, a deeper dive. You can keep taking them. It's going to give you more. Ultimately, it's going to start removing different answer blocks away until there's only one left. Now, I want to point out, we did the solution drop down as opposed to asking the person to get in there and code it themselves, is because we wanted to provide you training. We don't want to frustrate you. This is supposed to be a fun thing. It's training so you can learn how to code securely and you can have a good time with it. Hit accept. It's going to tell you that was correct. Again, provide that positive feedback. This is why, and then give you a points breakdown for that challenge. Now, I only scored 10 points because I used hints the whole time, but it looks like I could have scored around 275 points if I didn't use any, or if I just used one. So ultimately, that is what one of the challenges looks like. Any questions around the challenge or anything I can answer around that?
I don't see anything in the question box, but I have a question about the level of expertise that someone needs in order to participate in the games.
Yes. So not a lot. This because I randomized the challenges there when you go into the training ground. So this gave me one of the harder challenges. That's why there's a bigger file system right here. But as they go into the tournament, those level 1 and level 2, probably all the way through level 6 challenges won't be too difficult, and they can leverage that hinting system as they need be. In the training grounds itself, there's also pseudocode that's not available in the tournament, but it's in the training ground. So if they want to, on your own time, play around in pseudocode, that really makes it a lot easier to understand best coding practices from a very beginner level.
Okay. Quick question that came up. Someone was asking about how do you see this being integrated into, say, a secure coding institutional level course?
That's a great question. That's probably one meant for one of my higher ups. I know that they have been working with certain universities and different training organizations to start incorporating our solution into that. I don't know the specifics, and I don't want to speak to something that's above my pay grade, so to say, but I know that that is in the talks with my the higher ups at my organization.
Okay, great.
Any other questions?
I don't see any others.
Okay, so the tournament should be open now for everyone to jump in and start participating in. I will monitor the Q&A, so if there's any questions at all around one of the challenges or any type of login problems, feel free to ping that or ping me directly, and I'm here to help the whole time. what I can do also is I can put the leaderboard up on the screen so that everyone can see what that looks like and monitor it.
Okay, do we have, I'm not sure how we tell how many participants we have who have signed on to Secure Code Warrior. Can you tell that?
I can just, yep. So we have 7 people logged into the platform.
Mhm.
And just, no, I think you're the only one in the tournament at this time.
Okay, so I just clicked on the tournament. Let me share my screen and maybe we can give some walkthrough instructions to what people might be seeing. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, I'm logged in as into the tournament and I'm going to join. So just giving some people some context as to what's going on. Click my language. So as I walk through these are languages that I need to be familiar with in some form or fashion, right?
Yes.
Okay, which one is the easiest one? Oh, I remember COBOL. I'm gonna do COBOL basic. Nobody else is probably gonna do that. United States. Okay, so I'm gonna accept that. So now what am I seeing here? Explain it to me.
Yep. So now you have all the different level of challenges down there. The level 1 challenge will be one of the easier challenges, with level 8 being more difficult.
Okay. All right, so let's try this easy one. So I can just select any of these that I want.
That's correct.
So let me view. And I can accept.
Yep.
Okay. All right, what am I looking at here?
So now it's going to ask you to locate the vulnerability.
Okay. One of these?
That's correct.
All right. Information exposure. Okay. Submit.
Yes. This looks a little bit different.
Okay.
So now move to the second part of the challenge.
Which is
If you continue.
continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then view the solutions. And that's where you'll have to pick from the drop down the correct solution to fix that code.
All right, so on the left side, I have the code that's vulnerable.
That's correct.
And on the right side, I have various solutions.
Yep.
So this is solution 1. That's solution 2.
Yes.
Solution 3. And solution 4. So I would go through these 4 solutions and select the one that I think fixes this problem.
Exactly.
All right, let me take a quick look.
And then you can scroll up or down in that code.
Oh, so this is where the problem code exists, correct?
Exactly. So what's in red is the problem code, and then the green stuff would be if that would be the correct way to fix that.
Would you include the password in there?
I'm not a developer, so
Oh. All right. Well, I'm just thinking this through, like they do on How to Be a Millionaire. Hard coding the password seems like not a good idea. This one.
The hints are available too. If you need some more help around it, the hint will give you a little bit of more knowledge about what it's asking or what should be looking for.
Oh, that's right. So the hints. Good. All right. Give me a hint.
Yeah.
So I was right.
Yes.
about hard coding passwords. I think so. Give me another hint. I'll take, so if the more hints that I'm getting, my scores are being reduced. Huh?
That's correct. And then it's removing different answer blocks away too after that first one.
Oh, so what does
So
this red X mean?
it means that it removed it due to the hint.
Okay, so then this is the right one.
That's correct.
But I get like 0 points, right? All right. So that's interesting. So I was able um, to get information about possible solutions, and also then to narrow them down with the hints.
Exactly.
All right. That's pretty cool. Let me see if anybody has any questions out there. Diane says she's watching the overview video in the platform. So I guess people are doing different things. And once again, I'm not sure if our audience were people who had the experience in some of those programming languages that you have listed.
Okay.
But some of them may be vaguely familiar with them, like I am with COBOL. So they may be taking a look at some of the. I just wanted to give them an idea of how they can step through the process and understand the screens that they were seeing. So that was good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. It looks like somebody else just jumped into the tournament too. I know when you first log in, if it's their first time logging into the platform, it might be taking them through a tutorial right now, and then it will allow them to jump in after.
I'm not sure what this is now, but pretty interesting. Like I said, from when I played with it during the ISC squared presentation, I haven't programmed in many years, so I don't remember a lot of the coding and languages that are out there now. But for those who are actually using these languages, this is just a super tool to be able to help them more clearly understand what some of the security flaws are. I recently helped an organization write some labs that required them to walk students through a SQL injection attack. And putting those labs together is not easy. And then once again, as you mentioned in your presentation, the labs may be a little boring because even though they're giving step-by-step instructions on how to get through the lab, it really is not as robust as this in giving different types of solutions, giving hints and things like that. So this is really a very strong application for teaching secure coding.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Go ahead.
No, I see people are starting to log in now, so more people are getting in there.
Okay, good. And I'm pretty sure that over the course of a month and a half or so of 2 months that we have access to this, other people will at their leisure be able to sign in and play around with it.
Definitely.
And going back to one of the questions that came up about K-12, I recently was on the curriculum committee for the computer science K-12 computer standards, curriculum standards committee. And I believe Diane, who's on this call, she was there too. And it was very difficult it wasn't difficult, but we definitely had to reinforce the fact that you have to build in secure practices when you're teaching these students about coding. So even, just something as simple as putting in, write secure code as opposed to just write code is something that's very important to make sure that it's being interjected into the cybersecurity, into the computer science curriculum. So
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Maryland is ahead of the game with that, and I think we had a very good session in making sure that the computer science standards included the word secure in strategic locations in the curriculum that was being taught. You touched on this. You might be working with some of the folks who are logging on, but I had a quick question. You touched on this, and your product is helping with this situation. But we were talking about baking in security 30 years ago, at least.
Yeah.
At least. And it always amazes me that we never got there. And that software manufacturers, the software application development manufacturers, seem to always put the getting to the market ahead of putting in of writing secure code. Do you have any comments about that?
Yeah, so it's really that you're 100% true on that. For a long time, it's, how can we release the product the fastest to market? And that was who was going to get the revenue. So organizations were just competing, and they weren't necessarily putting security first at all. I would say in the past, I want to say 5 years, maybe even less, 3 years or so, is where this big shift has come in. And I think organizations are now seeing how big of a hit it can be to their brand if they were to get hacked, if data is to get exposed, customer data. So one of the things that's driving it, people getting this, baking it in more, is regulations, stuff like PCI compliance, that now organizations have to attest to that they're doing this. Mm-hmm. But another one is a lot of large companies, a lot of our customers are working with large companies that now force them. They say, hey, you can't work with us unless you can show you're doing secure training or, at least scanning, and different type of regulations that organizations are imposing on each other, which is kind of what's taking place right now.
I was really interested in that statistic that you had up there, that zero schools are teaching secure coding.
Yeah, it's not many. I want to say very, very, very few of the top schools teach secure coding practices. I want to say none of them are teaching a lot of even like cybersecurity type things or requirements for graduation, what you would think even nowadays with cybersecurity becoming so prevalent and it being so important, even just the little stuff, that it should be taught at a younger age or, as soon as possible. But no university, I want to say it's none or I got to find that data, but are teaching secure coding. It's all functional coding that a lot of them are teaching for computer science degrees.
Right. Do you work with any organizations that are teaching robotics and using Python and things like that? Have you stepped into that arena yet? Because some of that is borders on the engineering side with the robotics.
Yeah, let me see. Well, so I know that we definitely have Python language framework. We do have a lot of customers that use Python, Python Flask, Python API. Those are all available in the platform. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if we have any robotic customers right now. None that I can see. A lot of what we're seeing the industry go to is a lot of that infrastructure as code type languages too, which is kind of the new one. So we just
explain to the audience what that is.
I honestly, I don't want to say it wrong. Typically my engineer is the one that gets into the weeds around that stuff. It's more of a complex language. I know that there's like Salesforce language in there and stuff such as that. We have Kubernetes, Ansible, Docker, Terraform, and CloudFormation right now as our IAC content. Mm-hmm. And that is a lot of that content. It touched on what you talked about earlier, where it's harder to breach that content. So it's a framework that's much more stronger than some of the old like Javas or Cobalt, where it's easier. Those are built more for functionalities.
So it's almost about 420 shortly. Maybe we should let you focus on the people who are in the tournament. And like we said earlier, if we'll keep the Zoom link open for a while, and if you have any questions for Steve or us other panelists, please feel free to enter your question into the chat area.